The call came in just before dawn, the hour when deaths liked to pretend they were peaceful. Male. Late 30s. Found in bed. No signs of struggle. Door locked from the inside. Those cases were always lies wrapped in neat sentences. The apartment sat on the 4th floor of an aging complex, the kind with narrow stairwells and old paint that never quite dried. Patrol had already cleared the hallway. Neighbors stood back, whispering, barefoot and curious, robes pulled tight like this was a bad dream they didn't want touching them. Inside, the air changed. Cold. Sharp. Wrong. The bedroom window was wide open. Outside, frost clung to the metal railing like white ash. It was the coldest night of the month, temperatures low enough to sting lungs. Yet the room smelled clean. Too clean. Like detergent and fresh fabric, not like a space where a man had slept his last night. The victim lay on his back, centered perfectly on the mattress. Arms at his sides. Face calm. Eyes closed. No bruising. No blood. No violence written on the body. He looked staged. Carefully arranged. Like someone had wanted him remembered this way. The sheets were white. New. Still stiff in places, corners tucked tight with hotel-level precision. A patrol officer leaned in and whispered what everyone was thinking. Looks like he just went asleep. That was the first mistake. People who die naturally don't get fresh sheets. The phone sat on the nightstand, plugged in, screen dark. No missed calls visible. Charger neatly looped. No cracks, no fingerprints smudged across the glass. The bedside lamp was off, bulb cold to the touch. The door was locked. Deadbolt thrown from the inside. Classic sealed room death. The kind mystery writers loved. The kind real killers relied on. We started where the room would betray itself. No overturned furniture. No marks on the walls. No signs of panic. But the thermostat told a different story. It was set high, almost tropical. Someone had tried to fight the cold pouring in through the open window. Why heat a room you're freezing? Why open a window at all? The victim's name was Daniel Mercer. Software consultant. Divorced. No children. According to neighbors, quiet. Polite. Predictable. The kind of man whose death wouldn't ripple far beyond his email inbox. Time of death was estimated between 11:30 p.m. and 2 a.m. The medical examiner knelt beside the bed, careful not to disturb the sheets. She checked the pupils, the mouth, the fingertips. No obvious trauma, she said. No petechiae. No cyanosis. No signs of suffocation. No signs of strangulation. No injection marks. Nothing obvious at all. That was the second mistake. Assuming nothing obvious meant nothing wrong. The sheets were the giveaway. They smelled strongly of fabric softener. Too strong. Enough to mask something else. Chemical? Possibly. The pillowcase showed faint dampness, barely noticeable unless you looked close. Condensation from the cold air? Or something pressed there earlier, something warm that shouldn't have been. Daniel's body temperature didn't match the room. He was colder than expected, even accounting for the open window. Hypothermia crossed the room like a whisper. But hypothermia victims don't usually die tucked in like children. And they don't lock doors behind themselves. The lock was examined next. No scratches. No forced entry. No tampering. Whoever locked it knew exactly how to make it look untouched. The window frame told another story. Tiny scratches along the inside edge. Not from wind. Not from age. Something hard had pressed there. Recently. The window wasn't the escape. It was the illusion. In the bathroom, the sink was dry. No water used recently. The trash bin held a single item, an empty packet of herbal sleep aid. Over the counter. Legal. Common. Too common. Back in the bedroom, we lifted the mattress slightly. Beneath it, something thin crinkled. A disposable plastic sheet. Hospital grade. Carefully removed, but not carefully enough. Someone had prepared for this bed to be washable. That was the third mistake. Over-preparing. The body was rolled gently to one side. Beneath his neck, faint redness appeared. Not bruising. Not pressure marks. Chemical irritation. A scent hung in the air once the sheets were disturbed. Sharp. Almost sweet. Carbon monoxide didn't leave marks. Neither did certain anesthetics. Neither did a plastic barrier over the face, used patiently. The phone was examined next. Battery full. No activity after 10:47 p.m. Last message sent. I'll call you tomorrow. I'm exhausted. Tomorrow never came. Whoever was with him knew his routine. Knew he trusted them. Knew how he slept. The fresh sheets weren't kindness. They were control. The open window wasn't carelessness. It was timing, cooling the body faster, shifting the clock. The locked door wasn't a mystery. It was confidence. This wasn't a man who died quietly in his sleep. This was a man who was helped there. And somewhere between the fresh linen and the frozen air, someone believed they had erased themselves completely. They hadn't. Because silence, like bedrooms, remembers everything. And this one was already starting to talk. By mid-morning, the bedroom had lost its calm. Light poured through the open window, cutting across the bed like a blade. In daylight, the scene looked less peaceful. Too precise. Too rehearsed. The autopsy didn't take long to start telling the truth. Daniel Mercer didn't die in his sleep. He was already unconscious when he was placed in that bed. Toxicology lit up first. Trace amounts of a fast-acting sedative were found in his bloodstream. Not enough to kill him. Enough to make him compliant. Heavy. Still. The kind used in dental clinics. Short half-life. Easy to miss unless you knew to look. The irritation on his neck made sense now. The pillowcase fibers held microscopic residue, plastic polymer. The same kind used in disposable medical face covers. Something had been pressed over his mouth and nose. Gently. Patiently. No struggle because there couldn't be one. The cause of death was oxygen deprivation. Slow. Controlled. The cold window? It accelerated body cooling, shifting the estimated time of death backward by hours. The thermostat being high ensured the room wouldn't freeze completely, just enough to confuse the timeline. Whoever did this understood forensics. Or had learned just enough to be dangerous. The plastic sheet under the mattress was the quietest confession of all. It caught sweat. Condensation. Anything the killer didn't want absorbed into fabric. Someone expected a mess. They just didn't expect science to read between threads. We moved outward. Daniel's phone was clean, but the cloud wasn't. Deleted messages recovered from earlier that evening told a different story. One contact appeared repeatedly in the hours before his death. No name saved. Just a number. Short messages. Familiar tone. Did you eat? I'll come by later. Don't fall asleep without me. Not a stranger. A key fob log from the building showed a single entry at 9:12 p.m. registered to Daniel's apartment. No exit recorded. Someone had come in. Someone hadn't left the normal way. The window scratches made sense now, not an escape, but a misdirection. The real exit was quieter. Smarter. The maintenance stairwell camera finally gave us a face. A woman. Hood up. Mask on. Carrying a laundry bag. She entered the stairwell just after midnight. She didn't look rushed. She looked finished. Her identity came together slowly. Too slowly for Daniel. It was his ex-wife. Divorce finalized 8 months earlier. Clean on paper. Not clean emotionally. She still had access codes. Still knew his habits. Still knew he slept on his back, phone charging, light off by 11. Financial records showed a life insurance policy Daniel had quietly reinstated 3 weeks before his death. Beneficiary unchanged. Her. She said she'd come over that night to talk. To clear the air. She brought tea. Herbal. Something to help him relax. She changed the sheets while he was unconscious. Opened the window after. Locked the door behind her using a key, not the deadbolt, then turned the deadbolt from inside before leaving through the maintenance route. She thought the room would tell the story she wanted. Instead, it told the truth she couldn't silence. When she was arrested, she didn't cry. She didn't scream. She asked one question. Did he look peaceful? He did. That was the point. The bedroom stayed quiet after that. No more lies. No more careful staging. Just a bed that finally told us who had been lying in it and who had stood beside it, holding their breath, waiting for silence to finish the job. Because murders don't always look violent. Sometimes they look like sleep. And sometimes the quietest rooms are the ones screaming the loudest. If this case made you pause, subscribe to Silent Evidence Files. Because the truth doesn't shout. It waits.